Yeah. It's distiller's fingerprints. You can taste the distiller hand ground these grains.
That's definitely a thumb.
Yeah. It's a right hand for sure. Thanks for joining us again. We're going to do a little special episode today on the bar at home, my house, because I get a lot of comments about it. And I figured I got all this footage of when it was being made, so why not do a little video about it?
A little behind the scenes.
How
it's made.
Yeah. And then while we talk about it, we're going to sip on some.
Let's do it.
Pinhook. Just got this bottle.
I like the orange wax.
To be honest with you, this is our first pinhook, so I don't know how to read it, but I'm telling you, it says horse name, bourbon heist. Then it's got the hand size, how big the horse was.
Oh, cool.
I don't know, 2021, custom pinhook mash bill. Each year, Pinhook releases new bourbons and ryes that showcase the best attributes of our barrels. So, I don't know. We'll, if we find more info, or maybe we'll just link something in the description to tell you more about it. But it's just a bottle that I found, and I want to try it. Somebody's already been dipping into this.
Can't imagine who.
I don't know if it was me or me. I don't know. I think I couldn't wait for it. I had to drink it.
Maybe it was you.
Could have been.
16 hands.
That's a large animal.
Yeah.
Smells pretty good. But yeah. So we moved kind of like right before COVID happened. And our last house, I had a, not our house. We're not married. My wife and I's house. We had like a, I don't want to call it a butler's pantry because that sounds fancy, but it was a butler's pantry-ish, and it wasn't a lot of space, and we just kind of had bottles stacked there and some, pictures hung on the wall.
Oh, the little bar area you had?
Yeah. It's not like it wasn't a huge spot. It's probably bigger than most people's bar spot, but either way, we had a formal dining room, and I always regretted having a formal dining room because in the 4 years we lived there, we used it 3 times.
Yeah.
Like your mom and sister came over for Thanksgiving,
right.
And I think 2 times I had Army buddies come over.
I think we recorded a podcast or 2 in there.
It's possible.
Back in the day.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
Don't remember. A lot has changed. But but yeah, so the new house, it had a dining room that was tiny. And I just didn't feel like wasting the space, main because our new house is a lot smaller than our old one. We bought too big, and so we downsized into a smaller home. Yeah. But the new dining room area was just kind of tiny, but it's in the kitchen. So I was like, I'm going to turn this into a bar. Yeah. Not necessarily a whiskey bar, but that's what it is. There's probably, I think I'm close to 215, 220 bottles in there now. Yeah. And I might have like 4 bottles of wine and
no big deal.
Tito's vodka in there.
And a Frigate Reserve rum.
Yeah, and I have some Frigate Reserve rum for sure. There's some delicious rum.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were kind of getting the company kicking off online, and our sales were changing as from local stuff into, the online marketplace. So we started doing the smoker blocks as one of the first things that we were really pumping out, and we needed a faster way to do them. Yeah. So we have a friend that's like a master woodsmith, carpenter,
woodworker. I don't know. When someone says carpenter, I think of like someone that builds workbenches and they build houses, and what David does is art.
It is art. That's true.
He's a craftsman. I would call him a woodworker, not a carpenter.
Yeah, woodworker. Yeah. I think that's right. But his name's David Benjamin, and he owns a furniture company on the side.
What's up,
and he's a good friend of ours. Yeah, what's up, bro? I was kind of passing the idea to him that I wanted like a bar. Yeah. He had this cutting board, and it was 3-dimensional wood. Each piece of wood was a different type of wood, and it made it look like 3D squares, and it was inside this black epoxy. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I don't know, I liked it. It was beautiful to me. Yeah. So I kind of took that idea and was like, can you make an entire bar top of that? He was like, challenge accepted. Yeah. So I wanted to keep it kind of local as possible. And there was a few things that we couldn't do local, but the 3 inserts were black walnut cherry and bird's eye maple. So bird's eye maple we got from Washington State, but the other 2 are South Carolina. And then the border is a rainbow poplar, which is also a South Carolina sourced wood. Yeah. But I wanted those 3D squares and that big black epoxy top. I wanted barn doors, and I wanted places for the wine glasses and kind of storage and stuff. And so insert B-roll of that part being made.
Something like that. I think this would be good.
So after he made the base, it was time for the top. And so here's some like a good look at what the top looked like before the epoxy. And as you can see here, there's little chunks of wood glued inside of it to make up space. So we didn't use so much epoxy. If you've never used epoxy, this stuff's expensive.
Yeah.
And then here's a nice little slow pour action of the epoxy coming through, filling up.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then here's kind of like a finished product. This is kind of what the bar looked like once it was done. And so we put a hole on one side for the kegerator because I wanted to be able to have beer there as well. I wanted a beer tap. And then we now sell Whiskey Barrel State beer taps because that's what I wanted at the bar was that. So I just made a bunch of them.
Should get a kegerator in the studio.
That would be nice. We definitely need a mini fridge in here.
For sure.
Because I have a Yeti in the back seat with a bunch of natural light in it, but it's warm. I don't think we want to drink that. Warm, natty light.
Yeah.
And summers in South Carolina.
But,
we haven't tasted this yet.
No, we haven't tasted this at all. 6 minutes, almost 7 minutes in.
Unfiltered. There's that cardboard taste again.
Yeah. That's odd. And it's ever since you pointed it out, I can't not notice it.
It comes up so much now.
Yeah.
I've tried to figure out what it is, but I clearly need to do more research on what it is.
Maybe it's cardboard to us, but to someone with a more refined palate, it's actually something else.
Yeah. It's distiller's fingerprints. You can taste the distiller hand ground these grains.
That's definitely a thumb.
Yeah. It's a right hand for sure. But yeah.
It's not bad. It's good.
Yeah. I think I didn't have my hopes up, so it's not.
Is there an age statement on this, did you say?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's young.
Custom.
But look, they have a little app store. You can get is that a Pinhook app?
I don't know. Distilled at Castle and Key. Oh, Castle and Key.
Oh, I didn't even read that.
Yeah, that's in, I think Castle and Key is in that bourbon documentary. The one that you and I both like.
Yeah, they are. Yep. Neat, was it Neat?
Neat, I think so. Yeah. Or what's the other one? There's Neat, and then there's
On the Rocks.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
No, there is. It's like something. It's
is it? Oh.
I think so.
I don't have to look it up.
But I think this is the one where, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But
I remember Castle and Key, but I don't.
I think they took an old distillery, an old warehouse, or whatever it was, and they like reinvigorated it or something. And it's like an old stone or cement building.
We'll add that to the show notes as well.
Yeah, we'll find out what it was and let you know if I screwed that all up.
You can go look right now, and whatever that is, there will be a link there.
Right mouse click and
open a new tab.
Don't stop
click
the video.
Don't click out, because then you got to come back. But you can read while you listen, or listen and read, or don't. Doesn't matter.
Right.
But anyway, so we got the bar done. And we had I wanted floating shelves. That was what I always wanted. So the top shelf, I just kind of wanted to have stuff on it. Yeah. And originally it had all of my wife's grandpa's Jim Beam decanters, the old ones with the dogs.
So cool.
That would line the top, but those have found themselves to a new spot in the bar. And now up there I have Blanton's lids on a stave that we made. Yeah. And I got like bar lights, but I've got Pappy Van Winkle up there. Mm-hmm. I have the 15-year Widow Jane. Mm-hmm. And I had the wood experiment, but we did the wood experiment on our first episode of the studio. Yep. And then I have her grandpa's, I have 2 Blood Oaths up there. Don't know why they're up there, but that's where they are. And then I have her grandpa, I got a dusty Wild Turkey bottle that's from the 80s.
Really? Yeah,
it's
that's
up
right.
there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And like, well, I don't know that we'll ever open it, but like if I'm getting up there in age, you know, and it's like no one's going to enjoy this other than me. Like if it gets open, it'll be by me. It won't be.
Sure.
I'm not giving that bottle away. So don't even ask me for it. That's anyway. So the middle shelf is kind of like a collection of things that I like and things that go together. So I have all my High West bottles on the middle shelf.
Yeah.
For a long time, I had my barrel proof collection, but that also has overgrown the shelf and it's in a new location. But I have like the old Fitz up there and just some cool bottles that I have up there that they don't get drank often. Drinking? Consumed very often.
Enjoyed.
When friends come over, I pull them down and we'll drink from that middle shelf. And then the actual top, so I split it up. So I got the right side is all bottles, as you can see here. And then on the left side, we ran bar mats when the intention was that you would have like 2 short bar mats for your glasses and then like a wide one for all the whiskey stuff.
Yeah.
And this is what kind of gets into what is needed at your bar.
Right.
So one of the things that we had to have was stuff for making cocktails because we have a lot of people over, but I also need Glencairn glasses by the boatload.
Yeah.
So I had the long strips for the beer glasses, and then in the back it's kind of been overrun by limestone water and cocktail mixers that people have sent us and just stuff like that.
So you took your space that would have been a formal dining room and basically swapped it out for a home bar that you have set up to entertain people, basically.
Yes.
You're still using it to entertain people like you would a formal dining room mostly, but instead you're leaning into what you enjoy doing, which is hanging out and drinking and making cocktails for people.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's funny is up until building that bar, when people came over, it was kind of like an outside thing or a stand around the kitchen thing. But now we always congregate around the bar because that's where all the good stuff is.
And the way you have it set up is nice in that it's inviting.
Yes.
Meaning the way you chose to have it set up, that it's a bar you walk up to and sort of serve yourself. It's not something someone needs to be behind. You know, anytime I go there and you're like, hey, pick a drink, help yourself. Like it's not like walking behind the bar and you feel awkward. It's like you walk up to the bar.
Yes.
And it's set up in a way that you can pour yourself a beer or you can pick a whiskey. You can make yourself a cocktail if you're not doing it for us. And it's just a very welcoming setup the way it is.
Yeah, that was kind of the approach I wanted to take because a lot of the stuff that I was looking at before was kind of a walk behind bar where the bottles would be behind you and I would sit there as a barkeep.
Your white button up shirt and your
that apron thing with the leather, the single leather strap.
Yeah.
I just didn't. That's not what I wanted. I didn't want to be the entertainer. I wanted the whiskey to be the entertainment.
Yeah.
In which you could just walk up and you can look at whatever you want. You can see where the glasses are. You don't feel awkward that you're behind a bar and you know, but you can pick whatever you want to drink and pull it out and enjoy. And you don't need me to come in there and show you anything because there's nothing in the way. All the glasses are right here. It's self-serving.
Yep.
And that was kind of the reason that I did it that way. The only issue I've had with it was the shelves had like a wooden insert that, you know, you screw the wood brace to the wall and then you slide
for the floating
shelves.
Got it. Okay.
But when those were built, I don't think David realized, or neither of us really noticed that it was going to be
how much weight you were going to end up putting on it.
Double stacked bottles it's almost 10 feet long. That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, it is.
And that wood just isn't going to cut it.
Yeah. So it'd be great for pictures or some books and things like that most people put on a shelf. But, so how'd you remedy that?
So I reached out to a company called A&M Hardware, and they make floating shelf brackets for industrial stuff.
Okay.
Not really for your house, but because of the weight, this was overkill. So each one of these, you cut a hole out of the drywall, and then you screw these metal brackets that, I mean, I have a video of me installing them, and then I took my hammer and I just whacked the hell out of it. And it's like, boom, you know, it does absolutely nothing. Didn't bend at all. Each one of those can hold 400 pounds.
Oh, so, I didn't realize that. I knew you would like upgrade it to some like heavy duty braces, but I didn't realize like, so you cut a hole in the wall and you bolt this straight to the frame of the wall?
Yeah. The, what was it? The stud.
The stud. Wow.
Straight to the stud. So I have 2 of them into the stud for both shelves. So, I mean, you could literally, I did it before I put the thing on there. I held a hold of one and like kicked my feet up on the other one. And because I was like, if it's going to fall, it's going to fall now.
Yeah.
Did
not.
But the bar before, I had a level on it to figure out when I was going to replace it.
Yeah, I remember.
I watched that bubble move as the shelf just kind of.
Yeah.
But it got to the point that I was worried about balls falling off. That's how far it.
Yeah, you don't want that. Man.
It was nosediving.
That would not only be an awful thing to have to clean up and see happen, but that would be an awful thing to wake up to because you know it would happen in the middle of the night. There's no way that's happening while you're there, and you're just oh yeah, that sucks. No, it's definitely going to happen at 2 a.m. when you're dead asleep,
and I'm going to think someone broke in, and it's just going to be a whole thing. Running down the stairs with an AR or something in my underwear.
This is it. They're finally coming.
And break my neck.
And then I'm sitting here doing this by myself with an empty chair, and that's very sad.
Yeah. Bring it back up.
And so
I got those bars installed, and I've had no problem since. One of the things I want to talk about was you obviously don't need all of that, but what's on top of my bar is what people ask all the time. Like, what are you putting in
what do you need at home
Yes.
to make cocktails? Even if you got a handful of bottles you keep in a cabinet, and if you want to entertain somebody, what's a good baseline set of tools or resources for you to be able to entertain people?
And I wanted to do a back and forth. So I'd say the way I did it. And then now I know that, so before you were moving, you didn't want to put a bunch of stuff in your house.
Yeah.
So now that you have moved, you're putting stuff in your house. Yep. So it's your choice. Do you want to do the way you did it minimally before? Or do you want to do now what you were deciding to buy at this time?
I'm still deciding. So let's talk about what I did to make it work on a minimal perspective, and then you can go into, since you had the bigger setup or had and still do.
Well, I'll tell what I did, and then you just be like, needed, not needed, or this is what I did.
Okay.
All right. So we'll start with the bar mats because that was the first thing I ordered. I ordered 4 bar mats. Yep. So I had one as I discussed already, one for the beer glasses, one for the whiskey glasses.
Right.
Do you have bar mats?
I do not have bar mats.
So not needed.
Not necessarily needed.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So
certainly a plus, but you don't need it.
But if you want them, they were $13 for the 2 small ones, and I wrote all these prices down, and $17 for the 2 large. And I probably bought them all off Amazon. Everything I'm about to say. And I'm like, here's make sure you use our link. Nah, just because there's some things I probably would have bought. I'm not going to tell you to go buy what I bought because there's some things I like and some I don't.
Sure.
So the next one I wrote down was stainless steel mixing spoons.
Yep, definitely have those.
Yes,
those are a must at home. The long ones, you can get different kinds. Mine, it's long. It reminds me of a tea, like a sweet tea spoon. It's got sort of a teardrop shaped spoon at the bottom, and it twists.
Yeah, so those are the Japanese teardrop mixing spoons.
Oh, well, look at he would know.
The bottom is a Japanese teardrop, and then all the way up, and they're like this long. And the reason why is because it's easier to stir. So like we don't have a spoon here, but say this was a spoon. If you were stirring this glass, you'd be holding it like this, as opposed to a long spoon. You can twirl. Yeah. You use that spiral to spin it in your fingers, so the teardrop is spinning, and you're also getting a circular motion, so you can mix faster.
Nice.
It's just easier to do way up here. But even those, they're like $9 for a 2-pack.
Yeah.
So if you're considering building a bar, that's one of the things I use the most.
Yeah, I use it a lot as well.
Yes. The next one I wrote down was a cocktail mixing glass with a strainer.
Yep.
And this would probably be, I would recommend buying the shaker first because we discussed in another video, link here, why a metal shaker with a strainer, why that's good. But for this video, the glass ones with the metal strainer.
Yep.
Perfect.
Great. I have one. I have 2 of the strainers that go on top. Oops. Just happen to have, I'll get into how I ended up with 2, but it's a must have. It's if you drink and you make cocktails, it's fun for people to be able to see what you're doing and watch the cocktail sort of progress, and it just looks cool.
Yes. And on the mention of cocktails, a staple in my bar, probably yours as well, is the Whiskey and Whitetails smoking block.
Absolutely.
And the reason why is because a lot of the companies, we're not going to go like super down the rabbit hole on this, but a lot of the companies that make them, they make them to only fit their glass.
Yeah.
And then you can only make as many as you buy glasses, where ours is made to fit any straight-walled rocks glass will fit inside there. So,
and they also generally use what seems to be often manufactured wood or wood chunks. The wood that we use comes straight from barrels. Yep. It's white oak. It's not been used for anything else. And it's got the whiskey that is soaked into the wood. So when you hit that with the torch to smoke the inside of your glass, you're getting a plethora of flavors and notes that really, really help to enhance your whiskey and kind of bring a new life to it. So that's a staple in both of our
Yeah. And it's not, I mean, I'm not even going to go
not biased at all, but
we don't need to justify it. We just like it. You literally any rocks glass, so something like this or any kind that you would use, they will all fit.
Is a good segue into some additional recommendations for a home bar, I would say, is decent glassware.
Yeah. And Glencairns, you can buy blank ones on Amazon for fairly cheap. If you have Amazon Prime, the shipping really saves you on that because they're about $39 for a 6-pack.
Right.
For blank ones. Some people like to collect, custom ones, and we sell one as well. It's $15.
Yeah. You collect them from different clubs, different names or logos on different distilleries.
Which we like to do it too. It's just fun. But
it's a bigger version of collecting shot glasses you did when you were a kid and you were too young to drink anyways.
I still have my shot glass somewhere. But outside of glasses, I bought tongue tweezers, which they look like tweezers, but they're like this long.
Yep.
To be honest with you, I don't use them. So there's no reason to
not
mention
necessary.
It. But if you're making drinks for people that are finicky about germs,
it's a nice to have.
Yeah, because you're not touching anything, and you can elegantly place it. They're tongs, but they're tweezers, so they go down really narrow. And then other than that, I went a little extravagant on mint juleps. So I wanted to have nice mint julep setup. So I went with the Barfly julep cups. They're $13 a piece, which is a bit much. I bought 4 just so I can make 4 at a time. And going along with that, I bought the ice crusher from Lewis Bag. Yeah. So it's like a burlap sack kind of, and you just put regular ice in it, and then you beat it with a hammer, and it chips the ice up really nice. And it's great for making cocktails like that. Things that need a lot of ice. And that's another reason that big spoon comes in handy, because you have to stir it in the glass or not the glass, but the cup, and frost it. Right. But you don't really. Mint juleps aren't a thing.
No, they're not. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't have the bag and the ice, the hammer, the mallet, whatever you call it. I don't have the glasses. If I wanted a mint julep that bad, I'd have to throw it in a rocks glass or one of the kids' sippy cups or something. I don't know.
You can also, mint juleps aren't something that you drink all the time. Which, fun fact, they used to be a morning drink. True story. But if you wanted a mint julep, if you were like, I'm hankering for a mint julep, you could just call me and come over and get one.
That's also true. It's similar to boats. The best boat is your friend's boat, right?
Yeah. Yep. That was more or less everything that I wanted to say really goes well in a bar. Yeah. Glassware is super important. And one thing that's annoying about whiskey is if you're drinking in these Glencairns, it's, sometimes you want a fresh glass. Sure. And that can be quite annoying. Always having, like dishwasher shelf. And even then, people talk about you should buy a different kind of soap for your dishwasher so you're not introducing
did not know that
chemical smells and things.
I guess I've heard people talk about that. It seems a little silly to me, but
we're not doing that. It's
negative.
We're taking this more of a rustic approach to whiskey. If you haven't noticed, we're not one of the caramel peanut kind of people.
I mean, we can be, but we just choose not to.
We do it in private, and sometimes we'll do it if there's a note that really stands out.
It's fun, and it's fun to do, but it's not. That's not the crux of who we are. But I think real quick, Matt kind of covered what he has as a bar, as someone who has a bar specifically set up to entertain people. I have whiskey. My wife and I enjoy whiskey. We have family members that enjoy coming over and having a drink, but I don't have a dedicated bar yet. We just moved into a newer home. We also downsized. Seems to be I think as you get older, you realize, why do I need all of this?
Why do I have to clean this
stuff? And it's not necessary. So we moved, and we're actually looking, we don't have as much cabinet space in this house. The kitchen's not as big. It's the perfect size for what we need. We had way too much space, but we don't have as much stuff for storage. So we're looking for something to act as sort of storage underneath, and then sort of a almost bar cart type thing at the top.
Sure.
So somewhere in between a traditional small bar cart and then your full size bar, somewhere in between there is what we're looking for. And one thing I did to start kind of getting prepared for having my own bar is I looked for a kit. You can buy kits with the stainless steel shaker we mentioned earlier, the spoon, a strainer. The one that I got came with 2 jiggers. And I mentioned the strainer. I bought the crystal mixing glass separately. Came with a cork for wine, wine opener, corkscrew.
What do those run? Because I've seen really expensive ones.
Yeah, so the one that I got came in a nice wooden, almost pallet-looking crate that you can hang on the wall or just set on a countertop. Yeah, and it's got everything fits in a slot or a space. And I think it was a gift I got for Christmas. I looked it up later. When I registered the warranty, it came with a warranty. I think it was maybe $30 max.
Nice.
And my wife also bought a leather like satchel, like
I like that
to stick things, to stick all that stuff in, and then you roll it up and it's got a bag. It looks kind of rustic. It's cool to take to hunt clubs when we're picking what we want to bring out there.
We actually did a tasting, and I'm the worst at forgetting stuff. if we're leaving early in the morning to do something that evening, like we got to drive a few hours for a whiskey class or something. Like we drove to a hotel to do a short class in there, but it's like I forgot so much stuff. But it's like by the time you're there, what are you going to do?
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. My point was that all the stuff that came in that kit is the basics of all you need to make some cocktails outside of the liquor, and maybe picking some mixers. So we have a few mixers that we keep around the house. They're all Bitter Milk brand. We just like them. They're local. And so aside from that, everything right now can be kept in the cabinets or on a shelf. We don't have a separate bar. And depending on what you have going on at home, you can make whatever you have going on space-wise work for you anywhere in between.
You do not have to be smart
about what it is. Yeah, about what you like and what you need, and you can make your home bar anything you want it to be.
Yep. Careful what you watch. There's people that tell you got to have a ton of things, and it's just not true.
I just don't think so. I mean, again, it depends on what you're making. If you're making a lot of fruity drinks with a vodka and a lot of other things,
you need a blender and all that,
then you're going to need a lot of different things. So you just got to look at what it is you like to drink and what your friends and family that you entertain like to drink, and just plan appropriately.
You also I don't think most of you are not super serious and like, I must have a fresh glass every time. It's just when we're teaching stuff, I don't want your nose to smell anything other than what I've poured you. So most people can get away with 3 or 4 of these Glencairns. You don't need to buy a ton
absolutely.
of them.
There's not a need to have a lot of them.
Yeah. So, but that was it. We just wanted to kind of cover what's in our bar and what's in your bar and what you think is necessity and what's not. And that's our answer, I guess. Yeah.
And I will say that's the answer from the guy with 3 kids and also has to consider balls and toys and stuff being thrown around the house, and somebody with cats who only has to worry about the occasional curious kitty.
Yeah. No kids in the house.
Yeah. That changes things.
Yeah, it does for sure. But so that's it. Here's a link to the video we talked about before, and y'all have a good day, and we'll talk to you next time.
See ya.